No, my name is Deshaun Lyons, one third of Get Drag podcast. This is the sports podcast that we pick a particular topic and we drag whoever is in the topic. So today I'm gonna drag Carson Wentz. I'm gonna explain why Carson Wentz is overrated, and I'm also going to explain how he gets a lot of passes in the media that other quarterbacks don't receive, and I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about a little bit about Dak Prescott and the reason why he don't get the same passes that Carson Wentz receive. And I'm going to talk about that right now. Dak Prescott is a quarterback I've been criticizing for a while. He's a quarterback that don't throw guys open. He's a quarterback that holds the ball too long and take unnecessary sacks. He's a guy that when he's missing Ezekiel Elliott, he don't have the same statistical numbers. He's that quarterback or whatever. But he's a winner. He's a winner and he's a gamer. He is they have a statistics about Dak Prescott. He has a one he had nine game winning comebacks, nine fourth quarter game winning comebacks. He has a 109.7 passer rating in that situation, leading all quarterbacks who have at least 100 attempts when tied or trailing by one score in the fourth quarter or overtime. In fact, no other quarterback has a passer rating above 100, with Andrew Luck not a 97.7, Tony Romo 95.4, Russell Wilson 93.8, Ben Roethlisberger 93.3, and Drew Brees 92.4 when trailing. That's an incredible stat because Dak Prescott, he's a gamer. He's a clutch quarterback, and that's what he have over a lot of quarterbacks in the league. He might not have the arm talent, but this guy's a gamer. You could count on him, and he could come back. But people would say, so is this a Dak Prescott segment or a Carson Wentz? I'm going to explain. This is a Carson Wentz segment because they are the two quarterbacks in that division that is going to be, they're the two young quarterbacks. They're the two great young quarterbacks in the division, in the NFC, and they in the NFC East. They in the same division. And a lot of people say Carson Wentz is a better quarterback. Okay, talent-wise, arm talent, of course he is. But Carson Wentz, he been an underachieving quarterback. People say, well, he got a ring. Well, do he really have a ring, or do Nick Foles have a ring? Nick Foles have a ring, and he's a quarterback that have been getting lucky breaks. He has been getting lucky breaks because he had a backup quarterback in Nick Foles that can make the offense look better than when he's there. And even though they won yesterday against the Bills, you got to also understand who the Bills as far as the offensive talent. They don't score a lot of points. I believe they in the bottom feeders in offense in like every category, and they're the bottom feeders. Josh Allen, he's out of all 32 quarterbacks, he's ranked 30. He's ranked 30 in the total QBR. He's ranked 30. And Carson Wentz, it's a stat. Him going against the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL, he's 8-17. 8-17 against the top quarterbacks in the NFL. And he lost to Dak Prescott. He only beat Dak Prescott once. I believe Dak Prescott's 4-1 against him. So if you're that much better than Dak Prescott, you only could beat him one time. And the one time he beat Dak Prescott had a whole bunch of injuries. Including Ezekiel Elliott not being there. So that explains a lot. That explains a lot. And well, people say, well, I heard Nick Wright said he brought a stat that when Carson Wentz had that deep threat with Torrey Smith and Deshaun Jackson, his quarterback rating increases, his completion percentage increases. Okay, it does increase, but Aguilar can't run. Aguilar's a deep threat. He just can't catch. And he make it seem like Torrey Smith was lighting it up. Torrey Smith only had like 500 passing yards. And he only had about like 40 catches. He didn't have a lot. The production wasn't there and whatever. So what is he talking about? How's that stat even relevant? Because he's making it seem like Nelson Aguilar can't run. Nelson Aguilar's like a 4-3 receiver. He could fly. He just can't catch. But it seemed like he could catch when Nick Foles was the quarterback. He could catch them because Nick Foles had that same talent. He had that same talent that Carson Wentz had. And he's able to do more with those guys that, Carson Wentz seemed like he can't. And I think it's because of Carson Wentz, he don't have the same intangibles that Nick Foles had, because Nick Foles is a winner. Because it's another stat that I saw right here. And it's like, that's I'm like, it just explains it explains it all. It explains it all. It's like we talking about as far as the win-loss ratio. Because I'm like, I just don't understand. So we're gonna compare Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is 27-21 in his career. 27-21 in his career. Dak Prescott in his career, he's 37-21. 37-21. He have the fourth highest winning percentage in Dallas Cowboy history. So he's winning ball games. The stats, and it's also, I got the stats here between both quarterbacks. All right, so I'm trying to get it right now. Well, even though the QBR stat, of course, Dak Prescott, he's number 1 in QBR. Carson Wentz is number 6. So Carson Wentz is not having a bad season. It's just that Dak Prescott, over the career, he had the most consistent season. Dak Prescott, his career is 12,999 passing yards, 66.7 completion percentage, 79 TDs, 32 interceptions, a 96.9 QB on passer rating. Carson Wentz, 11,973, a QB percentage of 63.5. He had more touchdowns, 84 touchdowns. He threw, I was have 32. He have a 92.7 completion percentage. So the stats is identical, even though that it shows that Dakota Prescott had better stats statistically with that. So he have a better win-loss ratio, and we can also compare this too. We also could compare this. So as far as fourth quarter, I told you that Dak Prescott, he had 9 fourth quarter comebacks, and they said he had the highest quarterback rating in that moment. So when trailing in the fourth quarter, he had the highest quarterback rating in all the active quarterbacks right now. All the active 9 fourth quarter comebacks. Carson Wentz, he had the lowest out of all active quarterbacks. He only had 5. He had 5 game-winning comebacks. 5 when trailing. He only had 5. So it's telling you that he's not clutch. It's telling you that Dak Prescott he been more. He not only he been clutch, he been more consistent as far as winning ball games. Now people say, well, Dak Prescott got Ezekiel Elliott. So the Eagles don't have talent. Eagles have talent on both sides of the ball. Cowboys just became a top defense these last 2 years. And statistically, they're not the top defense this year. They have players, they just been underachieving. Eagles been having a top defense. I believe Carson Wentz, they had a top 5 defense when he was about to win. He could have won MVP before he got hurt. And even that season, and whatever. Let's look at the schedule when he went 13-1. So when he went 13, wait, hold up, this is not it. I'm trying to find when he went 13-1. People like to get rid of that. Say that, well, he was balling. He went 13. No, he went 13-2. My fault. Well, 11-2. My fault. 11-2 before he got hurt. He went 11-2. So look who he played. So he played the Redskins. He won that game and whatever. That was against Kirk Cousins. The Redskins wasn't going to be that good that year, And then he lost to the Chiefs. Couldn't beat Alex Smith. Then he beats Eli Manning. Eli Manning was another aging quarterback that wasn't getting it done. It was pretty much over for Eli Manning at that point. You beat the Chargers. You did beat Phillip Rivers. I'll give you that. He's a top 20 quarterback. He was a top 20 quarterback that year, so I'll give him that. But you lost to the Cardinals. I believe the Cardinals were straight rebuilding mode. Carson Palmer, I'm not sure if he was there or whatever. If he was there, it was pretty much over. But I don't think he was there at that point. I think that was over for them. He beat Cam Newton. Now Cam Newton was a top quarterback. So those are two good quarterbacks, two top 20 quarterbacks he beat. But look at this. You go against the you play the Redskins again. You swept them that year. You swept them and whatever. And those games were close. I mean, even though those games was competitive, you slept them or whatever. And Kirk Cousins is a top he's a top 20 quarterback. But that team was garbage. Then you beat the 49ers. 49ers didn't have Jimmy G at that time. Then you beat the Broncos. The Broncos was that rebuilding. They was thinking about getting Cap. And then you beat the Cowboys. Now, Dak Prescott is a top quarterback. But you remember what I said? The injuries and not having Ezekiel Elliott there, it was going to be a disaster. Cowboys was losing. I believe they lost 3 straight once that happened. They wasn't a good football team at that point or whatever. Then you beat the Bears. The Bears, Trubisky. Trubisky is not a good quarterback. He's in the bottom of QBRs. I believe he's ranked 25 right now. And back then, that was Trubisky that just wasn't that good. The Bears wasn't that good that year. But you lost Russell Wilson. He's a top quarterback. Can't beat him. And then even though he didn't finish the game, he did beat the Rams. But he didn't finish that game. Nick Foles delivered the goods to finish that game, and then that's when they won the Super Bowl. So not only the quarterbacks that he played, he only beat about a hand, maybe less than. He probably beat like 3 good quarterbacks that year. He only beat 2 teams with a winning record. And that was the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers was the team that went to the wild card that year. Dallas Cowboys finished the year 9-7. So he only beat 2 teams with a winning record that year. 2 teams that year with a winning record. You could count the Rams, but he didn't finish that game. Nick Foles finished that game. So you want to say 2.5? You want to say 2.5? But he didn't finish that game. And then, like I said, Nick Foles finishing. And then we could talk about last year when he came back. Before they got hurt, he went 5-6. So he only had one winning season. He only had 1 season with a winning record. When he went 11-2? Yeah, 11-2. 1 season with a winning record. The year before, 7-9. The year after the 11-2, he went 5-6, which was last year. This year, he's 4-4 right now. So, based off his contract, making $33 million, he's overrated. Not only he don't win you games, not only he sucks in the 4th quarter. He can't bring your team back. He don't have better stats than Dak. This year, he's not in Dak's class in the QBR. Dak is number 1. Completion percentage is not even close. Carson Wentz is 62 completion percentage compared to Dak Prescott in 70%. So this notion that Dak Prescott is not better than Carson Wentz, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie because he have all the numbers to back up the argument. He have all the accomplishments that could back up the argument because Dak Prescott never had a losing season. Never had a losing season. As a quarterback, never had a losing season. His worst season was 9-7. 9-7. And he won a division 2 out of 3 times. 2 out of 3 times. Compared to Carson Wentz 1 time. He won a division. So that's saying, so how come how sports media, ESPN, Fox, Fox Sports Fox Sports News, I can't even get it out. Fox Sports News, how come they don't hold Carson Wentz accountable the way they hold Dak Prescott accountable? Because the offense don't look as dynamic with Dak Prescott? That's a lie, because it does. It does. He's leading in QBR. You have a better passer rated than what's in there, Carson Wentz. So what have Carson Wentz done to consider to be the best one of the best young quarterbacks? What have he done? All I see Is his backup playing better than he is? And his backup he's over in his career. He's over since he's been a Philadelphia Eagles. Wizzy. He over 12 wins. He's not barely a 500 quarterback because Carson Wentz is 27. Carson Wentz is 27-21 in his career. 27-21 compared to Nick Foles. Nick Foles is about 25-13. 25-13. So what is that telling you? Not only he's not better than Dak Prescott, he's not even better than Nick Foles. And Nick Foles is the one that they let go. Nick Foles is the one that won them the title. And everybody have excuses like, well, Carson Wentz, he need Deshaun Jackson. Was Deshaun Jackson there when they won the Super Bowl? Was Deshaun Jackson there last year when Nick Foles won about 6 games straight, including the playoffs? And he was one drop ball away from going to the NFC Championship 2 years straight? Look at this. Carson Wentz, 52%. 562 winning percentage. So he's over 500. He just over 500 compared to Nick Foles. 658%. He's 25-13. Nick Foles got it done for that. He got it done for that team. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. And it's another stat that's crazy. Carson Wentz, he plays better at home. So he's one of them quarterbacks that need to be at home for him to be successful. Because look at his stat. So he's 17-6 at home, but he's 12-15 on the road. He's under 500 on the road. Now, if you look at Nick Foles at home is 13-6. Similar, he won 4. Carson Wentz won 4 more games. But look at Nick Foles. Look at Nick Foles on the road, 12-7. That's another thing. What's going on with the road, baby? You're not even good on the road. What's going on? Can I talk about Dak Prescott on the road? See, not only Dak Prescott is a consistent winner, he also do it both ways. He's 21-9 at home, and he's 16-12 on the road. So he's a more consistent quarterback than Carson Wentz is. But Dak Prescott, he gets unfair criticism. Dak Prescott could have 400 yards passing. He got 400-yard passing, 3 touchdowns. But just because he threw 2 interceptions, oh, Dak is horrible. He stinks. But Carson Wentz could have 179 yards passing and 1 touchdown. They said, he's amazing. You see the biases? I'm not bullshitting right now. You see it? So we're about to take a quick commercial break. I'm gonna break it down a little bit more because we gotta take a quick commercial break so I can go a lot more. I'm getting too excited right now. I can't really talk, but y'all see it. Y'all see what I'm saying? I'm gonna take a quick commercial break. Be back in 2.2. This is Get Draft Podcast. You already know. Be back. Welcome back. This is Get Draft Podcast. I had to go in. I had to drag Carson Wentz. And I had to drag... Also, I want to drag the fans, too. I want to drag the fans to be like, that doesn't hold him accountable. And they keep saying that how good Carson Wentz is and how it wasn't a mistake to get rid of Nick Foles, because it was. Nick Foles is just a better quarterback for that team. As simple as that. Now, the Eagles do respond They do respond when they need that game. They do respond. They beat the Green Bay Packers and they beat the Buffalo Bills. But breaking that shit down, what they did, they took it out of Carson Wentz's hand. Carson Wentz didn't even he have less than 200 yards when he won those games. 200 yards passing. He didn't have a lot of passing yards in those games. So that means that he was being a game manager. But when Dak have games like that he throw less than 100 yards, you know, they will flat out say he's a game manager. He's a game manager. So they'll never hold Carson Wentz accountable. They'll never say, they just say, oh, he have to dink and dunk because he don't have any deep threat. Like, okay, like I said, you know, if you're a good quarterback, you getting paid $33 million and whatever, you got to make guys around you better. He don't make anybody better. Like, Aguilar, he's not the best catcher, but if you worth that much and you got paid that much, you need to deliver the goods. You need to deliver the goods. He got losing records with all the top quarterbacks, like Kirk. He can't even beat Kirk Cousins. He's 4-2 against Kirk Cousins. 4-2 against Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins beat him the last 2 years, and then the year that Carson was 11-2, he beat Kirk Cousins twice, but the year before he lost him twice. So he's 4-2 with him. He only beat Dak once. Dak is 4-1 against him. 4-1, maybe 5-1. He lost to Cam Newton. Even though he beat Cam Newton with but he lost him last year. Can't beat Russell Wilson for nothing. Can't beat him for nothing. And we go see if he could beat him this year. If he keep losing to these guys, it's telling you something. It is telling you something. That he's not that guy. He's an overrated guy. He's talented, but he lacks leadership. He lacks intangibles, and he's Carson Wentz instead of Carson Wentz. Instead of what Shannon Sharp say, welcome to him. So that's it for this episode. Quick shout out to On the Dotted Line podcast. That's a me and Marquise podcast. Check us out. And also subscribe to our channel over there, On the Dotted Line episodes on YouTube. Subscribe. Check out all our episodes. And also subscribe to us right now. Get Drag Show. Please subscribe, comment below, and pull up on me. Like if I'm tripping, if I'm being too hard on Carson Wentz, or I'm not being fair. Let me know. Let me know what it is. Because you can't ignore facts. It's all about the facts, right? So that's it for this episode. I hope everybody enjoyed. My name is Deshaun Lyons, 1/3 of Get Draft Podcast, one of the best sports podcasts on the planet. See you when I see you. Peace out.